Wow, imagine a Pokemon fan playing a Pokemon DLC and then talking about it in a YouTube video. Well, that's what this is. So let's get into it. What's going on, guys? Right on, me teacher in the house, and let's have a chat about the Crown Tundra DLC for Sword and Shield, which of course dropped on Friday night in the early hours of the morning for me. It dropped about 2 AM my time, so I was half taking a power nap. But let's talk about the Crown Tundra today, because I've got a lot of things positive to say, but I also have some negatives as well. So, just to give you guys some context of it, I've played about 10 hours of the DLC so far. I haven't finished just yet. I still have 2 birds to do. 2 birds. And the Swords of Justice I still gotta do. And I haven't yet finished the decks. So, I still have these to go. And stuff like that. But I've had a fair bit of time to explore the Crown Tundra. I've had a fair bit of time to roam around the map and understand what's going on. So, we've got a lot to talk about here. So, let's start off with the positives first, because I like to be positive in general. I have to say, I think the overworld is probably the best design we've had yet. The best design we've had. Obviously, a lot of the big criticisms for Sword and Shield in general is that the overworld with the textures of the trees and like parts of the map, especially edges of the map, have generally not looked very nice. I feel like this overworld was definitely nicer. It definitely looked a little bit more polished. So really happy to see that. The next positive I want to talk about actually is the Dynamax adventures. Now, I haven't done any of them except the first one, but I really like the concept. I think it's such a really interesting and unique way to actually go about catching Pokemon, because you have to use a rental Pokemon, you then pick up a Pokemon, and you get to keep either the last Pokemon, which may well be a legendary that you haven't got, or a Pokemon that you took with you along that adventure. You get to keep that Pokemon. I really like that. It's kind of reminiscent of Battle Frontier from back in the previous gens, where you had to use your rental Pokemon and stuff like that. I really enjoyed that kind of thing, so definitely happy to see this kind of thing back. I really like it. I think it's pretty well done. I would say some of the Dynamax Pokemon are pretty easy though. So maybe I've just been lucky. For watching other people play it, it definitely seems relatively easy. But I really like the Dynamax adventure system. I think that's a really cool idea. The next thing I want to talk about is the story. Particularly with Calyrex. Now, I have to admit, I was pleasantly surprised. Usually what we've seen with mythical Pokemon, we saw this with the Isle of Armor as well, you're just kind of given it. You know, we were given Kubfu, we took it around, made it happy for some reason, we then took it to a tower just to evolve it to a Shifu. Like, it just didn't really feel like we were doing much, it just felt like we were just wasting our time. But with Calyrex, we actually had a really good, compelling story about how Calyrex was the king of the bountiful harvests, had a horse that was very loyal, which is obviously turns out to be Glastria or Spectria. I picked Spectria, for those who are wondering. And I really liked the fact that we, got to explore the map, but we actually had a story. Right? The Isle of Armor really didn't have much of a story, so I was kind of disappointed with that. But it was definitely much improved. And speaking of the horses, I really love I actually don't remember how to spell Glastria, I think it's that. But I really love Spectria and Glastria. I've had a chance to try out Spectria on ladder, and my god, that thing is strong. Especially when you scarf it. It's really good. I think these are amazing. I didn't know this was a thing. I had no idea this existed. I didn't watch any trailers or any leak videos or anything like that, so I don't know if these were actually kind of hinted at or anything, but I certainly had no idea. So this was a really pleasant surprise to me to actually see this. I thought this was a great way to introduce new Pokemon, and they're really cool. I love their designs, especially Spectria's. Definitely really like its design a lot more than I thought I would. So I'm really happy with that quite a lot. But I think one of my favorite things about it is actually Peony. Peony is a hilarious character. I love his dialogue and stuff like that. He's literally just like the overeager, energetic parent, which reminds me of a lot of them I've had when I was teaching, so it's definitely funny. I really like his character. He's nothing like Chairman Rose. We didn't actually get much of a hint of whether, or I certainly haven't yet, whether he's connected to Chairman Rose. Maybe if I do the Star Tournament later on, when I actually finish going through Crown Tundra, I might have a better idea. But Peony did give you a Master Ball, so... and he looks a lot like Chairman Rose, so... you know, it feels very likely at this point. There's so many hints at it and stuff like that. He often hints at someone I used to know, and stuff like that, so... it definitely feels like there is a connection there. I've yet to discover it, so... who knows? Let's see, what else was I going to talk about? Was there anything else on the positive side? Have I forgotten already? Overworld, Max, Story of Cataracts, the horses and Peony. No, I think that's pretty much all of them. I guess I did like some of the returning Pokemon, but I actually do want to talk about that on the criticism side. So the criticism side of things, a lot of the Pokemon available, like the spawn spots, are Pokemon that you've already got. So, are the same as previous maps. So there's a lot of, like, duplicate Pokemon that you already have if you played the main game or the Isle of Armor. So it didn't really feel like there was a lot of returning Pokemon out in the wild. We did get the fossil Pokemon, which is actually something else I want to talk about. It definitely feels weird to see the fossil Pokemon, like, available, or like normal spawns. Because, obviously, these are fossil Pokemon. There's not that many of them out in the world, so it makes no sense that there's, like, them in plentiful supply in the Isle of Armor. Don't really know why that's a thing. Not really a huge fan of it, personally. I would have liked a bit more... like, connection to actually try and obtain the fossils, maybe some story, maybe some quests, but we didn't. They're just out in the wild. Not really a huge fan of that. I would have liked to have seen a bit more of a connection to them, especially when we're talking about armor in the story. There is an armor fossil for Shieldon, which incidentally is not in the game, if I remember right, so that's a thing. But yeah, felt weird to see the fossil Pokemon just roaming out in the wild. The next thing I want to talk about, I hinted at it in my Oscar Bombi video, is the Galarian Articuno hunt. Oh my goodness. So for those of you who watch my stream on Friday night or Saturday morning, you'll know that that hunt took over an hour on stream, and it took me like 2 or 3 hours off stream in the downtime that I played off stream to find the thing. It's kind of stupid how they've done it, because they've given you, like, audio cues, which, you know, is fine, but for people that don't play with the game sounds, you don't hear those audio cues, so you're kind of screwed, right? And I get it, like, the games are generally designed to play with game sounds and stuff like that, but it just feels like such an obnoxious hunt. Like, when I was streaming, I kept hearing it at the top of the peak by the Crown Shrine, but I never saw it anywhere. I ended up going over to Freezington and going back and forth between Freezington and the Slippery Slope until eventually it decided to show up. It took a long time for it to get there. I had to time skip into the daytime and then just to try and see it. And then we had this stupid little game that it plays where it double teams and starts spinning around in circle and you have to find the correct one. And if you got that wrong, it just flew off. Yeah, that wasn't fun. I got it first time, thankfully, but I've seen people really struggle with it. But the pro tip, then on the actual one, it raises its wing every now and then, so that's how you tell the difference. But yeah, this hunt was really stupid, really, really annoying. I didn't like it that much at all. I haven't done the other two birds yet, so I don't know how easy they are, if they're any good or if they're not. I don't actually know. But the Galarian Articuno hunt didn't really impress me all that much, I gotta be honest. Wasn't a huge fan of that at all. So I talked about the Pokemon. I talked about the fossil Pokemon, talked about Galarian Articuno. Let me just see, was there anything else I wasn't too keen on? Oh, I know one thing I missed on the positives that I completely forgot. Definitely need to fix that, was the music. The music in the game, oh man. I particularly love the Reggie remixes. So, for those of you who don't know, when you go into the temples where the Reggies are, they actually remix the old Gen 3 Reggie music and put it up to date in the more modern engine. And the Reggie fights, especially the music for that, holy crap, we were jamming out to that, like, on stream. We were just popping off doing this the whole time. It was great. We were having so much fun with that. But that does actually lead me on to the criticism, actually, which is Regieleki and Regidrago. It kind of feels a little weird that you can only get one or the other. I understand that, you know, it's in one temple and stuff like that, but it would have been not nicer for the game if we didn't have to we didn't have to trade for that, because it's a pain in the backside, because it makes it worse, because in order to go for Regigigas, you need all 5 Reggies, which means you needed to trade with someone that had the other one that you didn't go for. Not to mention, I don't think Regidrago is all that good. Both these Reggies actually have really bad move pools, which is something that's noticeable. They only really have their stab moves, which makes sense because their abilities, Transistor and... what's the Regidrago's one called? I don't even remember. Because Dragon Energy's its move. I've completely forgotten. But they boost the stabs, or they boost the damage of their stab moves by effectively specs damage, which makes sense, I get it. But I honestly don't really feel like they're all that good, if I'm being honest. Obviously, Regieleki is blisteringly fast. It's actually the fastest base speed Pokemon in the game at this point. It's pretty cool. It's a very definition of a glass cannon, but again, it doesn't have a move ball. It just has multiple electric moves and stuff like that, and Ancient Power is pretty much its only other coverage move. So, yeah, not really a huge fan of these two, not be honest. I'm not a huge fan of how you get them, and honestly, I was kind of underwhelmed by them. They looked so much better than they actually turned out to be, and that's kind of sad to me. So that was definitely something I wasn't super keen on. I'm just trying to think, is there anything else that really stood out to me? Oh yeah, actually, speaking of the Galarian Articuno hunt, something I would have liked to have seen, I didn't mention it before, but something I would have liked to have seen was there like a map indicator as to which area the Articuno was in. This is what made the roaming Pokemon in Gen 2 and the laddies in Gen 3 actually huntable, was the fact you used to be able to do, excuse me, with what I actually did, which was go back and forth between different areas, and you could see on the map where it was, and you could see near it. Instead of doing the audio cues, do both. Why not? Right? Because then it actually helps those that don't play with game sound, or it actually encourages you to use the map. But I generally feel like it could have been better. These were definitely some of the things that I wasn't too keen of, but in general though, I have really enjoyed playing the Isle of Armor. I didn't quite know what I was going to expect. I didn't quite think it was be as good as it was. You know, when we saw the Isle of Armor be kind of disappointing, it was okay, but kind of felt disappointing. The fact that this is already so much better kind of shows that I think Game Freak did listen. I didn't want to say this, though. I'm not going to put it as a positive, but I did say that I didn't want any more fetch quests, but I actually found the footprints for the Swords of Justice relatively easy to find. And largely speaking, it's because you had to get 50 of them, but there was more than 50 for each one out in the areas. They had specific areas that they appeared in. It was pretty easy to find them. I had no trouble. It took an hour once I started looking for them to actually find them all, which is no big deal, you know. But it was way better than the way they handled the Diglets, so definitely happy to see that. But I wouldn't say it was an overall positive. I think it's just fixing the negative they had before. But either way, those are my first thoughts on the Crown Tundra. Let me know what you think about the Crown Tundra. Let me know how far you've got, because I would love to hear from you. But either way, guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Rebel, my teacher. Stay safe. Stay awesome. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.